thing driving me to create this work, it was made over a course of 2 years, and it was made, I guess, in response to returning to Ireland after 10 years abroad. And it's, I guess, both a personal narrative of me, I guess, confronting images of femininity from my past and contemplating becoming them, as well as, I guess, a cultural narrative as well of perhaps a snapshot of femininity in Ireland at a particular point in time. Not only did I return home, I returned to my childhood home, and then I bought a house near where I went to school, so I very literally felt like I was confronting my past, buying a home from, you know, from the 1960s, but decorated from the 1970s, decorated from my childhood. So I guess it really felt like I was going back in time. And the work was a response to figuring that out, and who am I in Ireland, and what can a woman be in Ireland that's different, I guess, from, you know, London, a really cosmopolitan city. I was really just questioning who I was, what my role was. The video works were a very, I guess, literal and visceral response to, I guess, the first few months of reintegration into Ireland, and I guess a turmoil, that personal turmoil with having left a whole life and trying to re-establish myself and trying to find what I was in Ireland, trying to find what Ireland was for me again. I think the experience of viewing them, because they're compiled as all of this hysteria at once, yes, it's quite discomforting and it's quite cringe. I originally started performing to camera. It was a safe way to start to perform and learn a craft, and then actually through MART I started performing live, and that I became immersed in that for quite a long time. But yes, this was a return, I guess, as well to work to camera, and they are very different ways of thinking about the work. But certainly one informs the other. I think the experience of being a live performer does allow you to bring something, but working to camera is I think a really specific skill, and most of my work is filmed or taken by me. So there's something about the process of me performing and looking, and performing and looking, that allows me to do both of those things. The clothing in the exhibition is a way of me assuming a role and contemplating a role and thinking about femininities of the past and what parts of them persist now and persist in me. And I guess this is something that my grandmother might have worn, it's something that my mother might have worn, and I guess by putting it on, I'm very literally trying out my own idea of the traditional femininity and thinking, what parts of this persist, what parts do I want to persist, what do I want to reject, and what do I have no control over. And there's also something very nostalgic about, I guess, the aesthetic of the clothing, and it's almost like a comfort blanket. It's almost like something literally from my childhood that I would have clung on to, and there's something sentimental about that. And I guess it's also about thinking about becoming a grown-up lady. You know, am I actually an adult now? Can I, you know, wear the mantle, take the mantle of my mother, my grandmother, and do I want to? So the clothing is significant both for the imagery, but also for, I guess, the assuming of the role and what actually happens, you know, how I actually elicit the performance for myself. What's interesting is, and why I like performance, is that once you begin to make the work, it becomes something different than you thought. So I guess for me, the opening and the conversations around the work are very important. I would hope that there are lots of conversations tonight about what femininity is in Ireland, and about femininities of the past and how they persist now, and how we can romanticise them, or we can also, I guess, repeat them without knowing.